Previously,
with sylabdul.
Parading here after this successful Warner Brothers Studios run in 2025, they are holding Superman up there because, again, not just a box office performance for Superman, they had advertisers buy in to the company that made Superman profitable. That is a concept we've discussed for several years. That is why at the same earnings call, Zaziv is saying, oh, we're pushing the sequel. So you got this profit with this brand, Superman. Again, while people are caught up in these fanboy wars on Twitter, in front of the money people, Zaziv is saying we recharge the brand. More is coming, man of tomorrow. And this is great for them and their standpoint because they don't have to talk about Batman right now because they know when Batman comes out, that's going to do $1 billion. Matt Reeves Part 2. And then once they introduce Batman into the DCU, they feel it's going to be, again, supercharged. So if Superman was really a loss, they are not going to take, that's like them, Mickey 17 was a loss for Warner Brothers. Alto Nights with De Niro, that was a loss. That's like them parading Mickey 17 in front of the money people. Yo, we're supercharged by Mickey 17. No, because that lost money. And it's clear and it's on the books. People just have to accept the concept of advertising tie-ins. That's why Superman made money.
It's Coffee Talk with sylabdul. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe now.
Wake up in the morning, eyes crusty, heavy yawning. My phone keep going off, so I shut off the alarm and then head into the kitchen to get the coffee brewing. French roast with French vanilla, my own French revolution. Next movement is to tune into Coffee Talk with Sil. My girl is toss a yap if I tell her she needs to chill. I hear enough of the yapping from all of these goofy shills. Plus I'm trying to be informed of whatever's the latest deal. For real.
And some pretty cool news. We got this update about Alita Battle Angel sequel or sequels. The James Cameron produced Robert Rodriguez 2019 film, Alita Battle Angel, gained a pretty good cult following. And I'm really not sure if they still are doing a lot of events as far as the Alita fandom, but this is a nice update. They all wanted their sequel. That 2019 film, Alita Battle Angel, very enjoyable. It was a pretty expensive film, and maybe they just didn't get enough returns up front, and it kind of stalled that franchise. But the push continued. And it's saying Robert Rodriguez, actually James Cameron is saying he has sworn a blood oath, him and Rodriguez, to make Alita 2 and maybe 3 also. We're making progress on that, he tells Empire. I appreciate the loyalty of the Alita fans. Nice update. Again, this was a very enjoyable film. Had some cool Mahershala Ali moments, in my opinion. In it as well, and it was this whole manga come to life type film. If you haven't seen Alita Battle Angel yet, you do yourself a favor and check that out. Now, every update I get about that we get about this Clayface DCU film, it's weird every time Mike Flanagan has a quote about this film. I think 2026 is going to be a wonderful year for us DC fans. Overall, I think it's going to be something for everyone. And among that, Clayface was one of the things I thought would stand out. It's been told several times, Mike Flanagan wrote the initial script, pitched the story. James Gunn accepted the story and said he wanted to do the film. But then all of a sudden you heard Mike Flanagan is off the project. So you're like, okay, Mike Flanagan, he has had notable, horror films, horror entries. So a lot of people like Flanagan being a part of this, but all they did was take his story and they're basically rewriting his story. Though Gunn claims they're maintaining the heart of Flanagan's story, I rather Mike Flanagan would have directed this film, right? Flanagan spoke out before. He said, "Yo, my script was about the Batman animated series, The Feet of Clay, the two-parter, B-Taz, legendary episodes." And Flanagan, and I covered this in real time. Flanagan was like, I don't know what they're turning this into, but this is what I wrote. Gunn pushed back publicly, just say, hey, no, Flanagan is wonderful. I'm a fan of Flanagan. and we're maintaining what he wrote. Okay, but he's not directing it, right? And so Flanagan speaks out again, says again, his vision for Clayface inspired by B-Taz. But Flanagan says, it's one of the great sadnesses of my career. They wanted to make this movie right away, and I wasn't available. It's the only time this has ever happened to me. All I want to say, okay, couple of things. I have a couple of takes on this. First, I'm glad this film is being made. I like the behind the scenes stuff we were seeing with Clayface, and we'll see what happens, right, overall with this project. You would think you would schedule this, if you want to make this film, schedule it in a way so that Mike Flanagan will be involved. That's what I'm a little uneasy about, is, Gunn and Safran, they could have just did their Sergeant Rock film in its place and then wait till Flanagan's ready. You make this film come out in 2027. What's the hurry? I mean, yeah, okay. The story's great. Mike Flanagan usually writes and directs, what he writes. And I think you could have sold this film even better with, this is a Mike Flanagan film. The way it is, it's like, okay, this is a DC horror. I think it will still make a little money. It's a low budget film. But it's just every time Flanagan comments on this, I feel uneasy. So we'll see. We'll see what happens when this film ultimately comes out. But I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed every time Flanagan comments, because it makes me think something is not all the way right with this project. But I can't wait to see it. 2026, good vibes for DC. Now, let's keep it DC, as over this past week, it's been a few different announcements. Like just a side note, Man of Tomorrow, they're finally saying, oh, I guess Brainiac is the villain. I don't know if Gunn really confirmed that yet, but he hasn't debunked it yet. So I guess that's true. We all suspected, if you're going to do Man of Tomorrow, right? If you're going to do this film, Brainiac should probably be the villain. Now, so we're going to get to this Jimmy Olsen thing in just a moment too, but this is what I've been saying with this James Gunn DCU is that, and again, this year of James Gunn-verse 2025, I actually enjoyed most of Creature Commandos. Again, as I always got to shout out, the Batman moment in Creature Commandos was great. And then you went into Superman and what Superman did. They got their critical and audience success, they claim, for that, right? And then you got the Peacemaker. And then it was all, Gunn kept saying, oh, it's going to set up Man of Tomorrow, and it's like a prequel. And I really think he really didn't stick the landing, really making, paying off Peacemaker to be some kind of prequel to Man of Tomorrow. I think that was a bad play. I enjoyed most of the season of Peacemaker season 2. But at the end of it just left. I was talking about the scale. That's a scale of DCU, is that everything's kind of ground level. And it's fine if you want to flesh it out some more. And again, we got this Jimmy Olsen thing. And Man of Tomorrow, they claim Superman has made a profit. They put that in their books, so it's official. But it didn't blow the doors off, right? So Man of Tomorrow, it's looking like it'll be more of the same. I mean, yes, the whole Lex, verse Superman model, and then you're gonna have more of the Justice Gang, emphasis on gang. I don't think we'll ever see the Justice League in James Gunn's DCU. I think it's gonna be just fleshing out a DC world. And maybe it won't be some overarching ultimate villain at the end of all this. It's just that it'll just be, this is the DC world, metahumans exist, and you got the Superman saga in the middle of it. And now Brainiac is, I guess, confirmed, and then they're saying Rick Flag Sr., he's gonna have a major part in it. All this stuff is not like taking this to epic scale. It's just okay, more DC. I am happy to see that DC, is getting somewhat a good word of mouth out there. I think it will definitely ratchet up when you get to Batman in the DCU, especially if they're really going to go, with a, fantastical version, probably more of like a Grant Morrison, get some man bats and things like that. I think Batman's going to, do what Batman does. But until then, and with the Superman saga, it feels ground level. And then you have this Jimmy Olsen thing. It was rumored. What was this like? After Superman came out, they had said Mr. Terrific's going to develop a show, and Jimmy Olsen. And I just knew after Superman, I was like, okay, you're going to come out with that Mr. Terrific show next, right? Well, the story comes out, DC Crime, which Gunn has debunked the title, but this is a Jimmy Olsen show. Exclusive, and it's going to heavily feature Gorilla Grodd. Okay. Apparently, the Jimmy Olsen show has been greenlit and is moving forward at DC Studios and HBO Max. They plan to shoot this film next spring in Atlanta, and that will coincide with the production of Man of Tomorrow. That's similar to how they shot Superman and Peacemaker. Now, this is what I've been telling people as well. I just want to circle back when they talk about that whole Ohio tax sheet and stuff like that. We saw it was clear that Gunn was filming Superman on one set, and then on the other set right next to it was Peacemaker. So they were sharing some production costs with that. That's why I was trying to stress to people that Superman didn't cost $400 million to make, that they actually was combining shoots with Peacemaker. And that's how they was able to get a bigger tax credit at that time. So they're going to do the same thing with this Jimmy Olsen. And this is smart. This is smart business. And, you can crank out, a couple more projects. It says the rest of the Daily Planet crew, which is Perry White, Steve Lombard, Cat Grant, Ron Troop, will likely show up in this series. It's cool. Like I said, I thought they had a good cast. You didn't really get a lot of them in the film. So, yeah, put them in a series. I'm all good with that. It says Clark Kent and Lois Lane are not expected to appear, but kind of stop playing. You kind of need to have them walk through that set. The series is set to feature Gorilla Grodd as one of the primary villains that Olsen will be investigating. So you're gonna need some superpowered people, though. If you got Gorilla Grodd, Jimmy Olsen needs some help. They're gonna be able to share the budget. This is what they're gonna do. So it's gonna be a new like Atlanta, Georgia tax sheet out there, and it's gonna say Man of Tomorrow costs $500 million to make. Well, they probably fitting in a couple of the shows in there, a couple of the budgets that they're gonna expand in there. So let me know in the comments below. I mean, the state of DCU right now, like I said, I talked with the previous episode. I talked on there where they're claiming the profits that they made is officially in Warner Brothers financial books. The profits that they made for this so far this year, for a nice run that Warner Bros. Has made with films actually this year, and we'll talk more about the sale in just a moment. But so now that's in the books, and now with this DC going forward, Man of Tomorrow, we're kind of getting what we're expecting. I hope we get some lanterns in there. We got to jazz this up a little bit more. If it's going to be more of the same, of James Gunn Superman in Man of Tomorrow, what do you feel about that? I mean, it has its fans. I think it will make, like I said, decent money. I think Supergirl is going to do decent as well. And I'm, definitely hoping we get some kind of grander scale going forward. That's really the only issue I have. I mean, I expected James Gunn to make a James Gunn film, but now we're going to again get some different flavors in 2026 for DC. And we just kind of see where this goes. So the Jimmy Olsen show, not called DC Crime. We'll see what happens. And this story here, I've been looking forward to talking more about this Warner Brothers sale as we get closer to the end of the year. We know on this platform, we always talk about the business behind all this stuff. Um, Primarily, I'm always interested in any DC news. So, we always put that forward and other, CBM news that's of interest. But also, too, we like to talk about the business side of it, not just box office, but even these conglomerates being sold off, right? So, we've been following this Warner Brothers story. This has been, a story I've personally followed over 4 years now. We expected this day would come that Zaslav would try to flip the company. Now Zaslav not only wants to flip the company, but Zaslav still wants his toe in the water, no matter what company this goes to. And that's going to be a part of any deal that happens with Warner Brothers. Again, people wonder, why would Warner Brothers want to sell now? Well, Zaslav always has wanted to sell. This has always been his plan. And when you have the year that you had as well, 2025, this is definitely the best time to sell. I believe the shares are for the stocks are still over like $20. That's an insane increase over the past year. This is the best time to sell for Warner Brothers. And again, if you can, there's more about merging. I want to continue to stress this because, people speak on mergers and acquisitions and they don't really understand what they mean sometimes. But just want to make it clear, any language in the deal that happens, again, it's going to be more of a merge. Zaslav will still oversee Warner Bros. Discovery overall, and he'll still dictate the execs and things like that. But he'll be a chairman with the new owners. So preliminary bids for Warner Bros. Discovery due next week, and talks about antitrust issues heating up. It's a lot of posturing, a lot of politics is going to happen with this. Just certain people need to get paid off, and then they will let whatever deal goes through. As I said, preliminary bids for Warner Bros. Discovery are due November 20th. So a week before Thanksgiving, they want those bids. These are just this is a test in the water. Zaslav and I think it was a co-head, John Malone, or co-CEO, whatever his name is, of Warner Bros. Discovery. They want a bidding war. So Zaslav has kind of been manufacturing that there is a bidding war happening, even if it really wasn't happening. It was mainly Paramount putting in bids for Warner Bros. Discovery. And then also, too, there's this report about the Saudis are putting in a deal as well, too. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. But right now, it looked like just Paramount and the Saudis were the only ones putting in bids. And Zaslav wanted to manufacture more companies putting in the bid. So they have set this date, November 20th, a few days from the time of this recording, that the suitors will submit the first round non-binding offers. So this is just Zaslav just wants an auction, 15, 20, 25, Zaslav just wants people to throw offers in, and then you'll get a proper deal. So this is interesting. It's been well documented. Paramount has made three low ball offers for Warner Bros. Discovery, and Zaslav is not budging, and he wants to get more people involved again with the bid publicly. Comcast and Netflix have had talks of exploring the deal. Again, I think Comcast is going to partner with someone or with the Saudis, and we'll see. But it does appear the regulators, it appears to be Republicans, are pushing back against against Netflix buying anything. I've always said Paramount seemed to have been the favorite. Amazon is my dark horse. But I always been telling people, don't rule out the Saudis. And it appears the Saudis, if they don't try to buy this outright, you may see them partner, like I said, with a Comcast or a Paramount, so that the Saudis just want some kind of influence, some kind of ownership in a major film studio. And so we're going to see who lets them into this bid, how this will happen overall. We'll break all this down as we go. But I feel Paramount or a Comcast will likely get the deal. And again, you could partner with somebody, but you need someone. How will you handle HBO Max? Right? You could see Paramount. They already said we're going to roll it right into Paramount Plus. It's going to be a super app. HBO Paramount Plus, whatever it's going to. You got to have HBO in the title, as we learned. I could see them handling the bulk of absorbing Warner Bros. Discovery more than a Netflix. Netflix, you don't want to roll anything over. Netflix is just like, okay, we just own it. Y'all continue just to run the Hollywood studios. We, still going to be Netflix over here. And that may be more of a clunkier type of merger. Again, with Comcast, you could easily put HBO Peacock Plus super app. And so that's why I'm leaning more towards that. Amazon too. Amazon may be in the same boat as Netflix, where it's like, do you really want to absorb all this? I know you want to, have a film studio. This is a once in a generation opportunity. So you got to explore it, but it's just seeming less and less likely. I continue to say Netflix was a long shot. And now when you get the government involved, it may be more of a long shot than we thought. It says further, after that first round of bids, this is basically just going to get everything out on the table. Who's bidding what, and what can they do with this merge. Then there will be a second round of binding offers. So you put your preliminary bid out there, and I guess the going number, just to kind of make this clear to people, they were saying like $30 per share, which ends up being around $70 billion. Overall, I think if anyone's trying to bid under $70 billion, I don't think they will have a chance to get this company. Now, if you want to try to structure a deal where you're getting parts of the company, that all will remain to be seen. If Comcast, which I'm starting to lean more towards Comcast bringing in the Saudis and do a package deal like that, that will be interesting. We will find all that out in the coming month here. As it says, if there is to be a sale, Warner's is hoping to have settled on a buyer by Christmas. So this is accelerated. We thought we had to next spring till when Warner Bros. And Discovery splits. We only have less than a month now. Again, the first round of bids is coming in a few days. Then there will be a second round by the end of November, probably after Thanksgiving. Early December, and then it's going to be settled within those next few weeks in December before Christmas. People in the government, they don't want Netflix to have any other streamer. So if there is a way, I think the only way Netflix could even get into this, if somehow they partner with someone, Netflix, and Netflix gets just the film studios, and then allow another company to get the streamer and and everything that goes with that. That would be a very complicated deal. I think Zazev, he probably would be better to make more keeping the streaming and studios together. So that's what I'm saying. It's pushing Netflix kind of as the again a long shot, and then again the politics involved as well. So we will see where it stands. Again, the first round of bids is next week or in the coming days. In a few weeks after Thanksgiving, they're going to decide on they're going to have a second bid. Binding offers is going to be live offers early December, and they're going to wrap this up pretty quick. Now, to further touch on why I'm saying Comcast is getting pretty serious here, as I reported, like I said, over 4 years ago, me and the late great Mikey Sutton, we said Comcast was the company that, will really be interested in getting Warner Bros. Discovery. It's been reports that Brian Roberts, he probably didn't like the whole merger idea, meaning keeping Zazev around and not really fully controlling Warner Brothers. But he may be warming up to that more merger idea because he still would have, he would still be the head honcho. It just, you got to keep Zazzle around now, a little longer, which, Zazzle was supposed to go off into the sunset. But it sounds like Brian Roberts, Comcast, has been warming up to, again, this merger idea, and then possibly, again, partnering with Saudi Arabia and making a major bid where the Saudis will have, probably like 49% ownership. I'm just spitballing here. Like Brian Roberts, Comcast will have 51%, Saudis 49%, meaning Comcast will be calling the shots, but Saudis will be significant investors in everything, right? And also they would have some input in entertainment choices. And this is probably the dream scenario for a lot of people, because Comcast has always been the favorite to get Warner Brothers. The whole Universals and doing like these theme parks and stuff like that, and putting DC with that. Just everyone liked the sound of Comcast. Paramount came along major because of David Ellison came in there talking big money, and he's trying to really ramp up a potential deal with Warner Brothers. But I said most people preferred Comcast. So it says Brian Roberts here travels to Saudi Arabia as he explores bid for Warner Bros. Discovery. While abroad, Brian Roberts met with the reps for Middle Eastern countries' deep-pocketed public investment fund. This is being reported by Puck News, and everyone's picking up on this on just this meeting. It's all coming together. Brian Roberts has been interested in buying Warner Bros. Discovery. Though it says Trump favors Paramount, there's ways to get around that. All you got to do with Trump, as we learned, you basically got to kiss the ring, and then Trump will let you pretty much do anything. Now, it is fair to point out, to treat this as speculation as far as the Comcast partnering with Saudi Arabia. I've spoke about this, and we'll get to some receipts in just a moment here, but I've heard earlier this year that Saudi Arabia was going to make a bid for Warner Brothers, at least parts of the company. And that's what it's still lining up to be. I also heard last week Paramount will be willing to bring in the Saudis to do a deal to buy Warner Bros. Discovery. Now Comcast seems to be, speculative, putting their name, or as far as exploring a potential partnership with the Saudis to buy Warner Bros. Discovery and merge. The only speculation here I want to make clear is Comcast trying to partner with Saudi. Saudi Arabia is already interested in Warner Brothers, right? People are taking the Saudi interest as the speculation. No, I heard this like the early spring. Now everything's falling into place. What I heard, I told my viewers live, I said, this is what we're going to be, the long-term thing we're going to look forward to is when the Saudis express interest in Warner Brothers. So we're in this day now, and we'll talk more about that. But there's been a little confusion online. People again are running with, is the Saudis is all just speculative. No. They are interested, but we are speculating, will they partner with Comcast? So I hope that's clear. It says here, Roberts, while in Saudi Arabia, met with two of the PIF, that's the Public Investment Fund. That's the rich Saudis. They have over $1 trillion, or nearly $1 trillion. He met with them, though the contents of that meeting are not known, two sources told Puck. So let's be 100% clear. And we're about to get into the Saudi conversation. The Saudis, as I heard this past spring, the Saudis had interest in Warner Brothers. That is true. Is Comcast going to partner with the Saudis? That is speculation. So let's just be clear. All parties are interested in Warner Brothers, though. And so let's go ahead and take it there, this Saudi conversation, because, again, let's just be clear what's being said with this. A lot of people have been jumping on different narratives of, how Warner Brothers will be sold, who will buy Warner Brothers, who's the favorite. Since I've been covering this for over 4 years, I've kind of had my finger on the pulse all this time, including the Saudi conversation. And so I just been kind of sitting back, just giving my takes on what people are speculating about. But when there's real smoke and there's fire, I'm definitely going to speak very publicly about it. So we have this being passed around, and let's break it down. It says, hot tip, Saudi Arabia close to deal to buy Warner Brothers. This is separate from the Comcast story. And this here is not speculation. This is real reports coming out there. And then as people notice, Zack Snyder liked this post. Why would Zack Snyder like this post? We know. Again, my viewers, y'all should have known this for over 6 months now, that this was a possibility. Because we talked about Zack Snyder being real close with Turki Al-Sheikh and the crew from Saudi Arabia. Turki Al-Sheikh is part of this PIF public investment fund. They have nearly $1 trillion. They were in on the WWE deal, and they're also basically creating their own film studios over there in Saudi Arabia, but they want to have investments over here in America as well too. Again, just like the WWE thing, people are taking, let's say Saudi Arabia buys Warner Bros. Discovery. They are not trying to move the first. It'll be the language of the deal. It's going to be well documented that it's not about moving Warner Brothers to overseas. So that's the first thing, right? And in fact, the Saudis, they again would allow Warner Brothers to continue to run. That's going to be all in the agreement. Zaslav is still going to be over it and things like that. So that's not an issue as far as a foreign owner. So there's a lot of, global business going on, especially nowadays. So I'm not really too concerned about this being a foreign owner, because the language of the deal will keep it, grounded in this country. So that's the first thing. That's the first thing we want to kind of be clear with that. This person that posted this was a producer, Patrick, on Instagram. Says the Public Investment Fund, PIF, we should really get used to that acronym, of Saudi Arabia, reportedly worth upwards of $1 trillion, is very close to a final deal to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery with an estimated offer of 70+ billion. That's for the entire thing, right? What I heard earlier this year, and actually I'll just play what I heard earlier this year. And I put this out there as well. They already, I would say they already expressed interest. Now I don't know if it's Turki Al-Sheikh's team or if they, group funding this. They've already showed interest. They've expressed interest to Warner Brothers already. So Zaslav already knows that if he want to sell this in pieces, that he has buyers already lined up. They, and Comcast, like I said, with them, they didn't want to take on the whole, conglomerate by itself. The Saudis, they probably want it in pieces as well too. But I'm just saying, talks. There's already been communication, y'all. I'm just. So my understanding was, and actually I even heard it even before I talked about it on my channel months ago. So we're not surprised, right? Maybe other people are surprised. Maybe other people don't understand. We're not surprised as far as this development, but my understanding was it was going to be parts of the company. And that's why I was leaning more to the whole partnership with Comcast. But according to this guy here, he's saying, hey, the Saudis, they're willing to buy it all. And then that's probably why Comcast said, hey, let's slide over here. Let's talk and see what we can come up with. So this is a real report. And then this guy, producer Patrick, he has a video talking about his report.
Saudi Arabia is on the verge of purchasing Warner Brothers. I posted this about 24 hours ago. What's interesting is to see the internet doing its internet thing, and so many people have taken this information and have run with it. Outlets are now presenting this as their own, but the source is right here. Kind of humorous because I've actually been reporting on this since October 16th. That's when I first heard that there may be a $70 billion deal from Saudi Arabia to purchase Warner Brothers. Now, I do have sources in Saudi Arabia who are now telling me that the deal is about one signature away from being complete. And these sources are pretty solid media sources, and they're sources that I am trusting. Now, of course, this could all blow up in my face, and I could be eating the biggest meal of dead crow of my life if it's wrong. But I am trusting my gut right now. I am trusting my sources, so I am going all in on this is what's happening. The one information I don't have is whether Comcast is also involved with this deal, whether Comcast would be picking up some of the additional elements of Warner Brothers like HBO Max. That's still the mystery right now. But from what I understand, Paramount has made multiple bids at about $60 billion, and the Saudi fund is estimated to be $1 trillion. And as a person who was in Saudi Arabia just 3 weeks ago, you've seen the evidence now showing that this country is going all in on media. They bought EA Sports. It's on LIV Golf. Now, of course, what's really interesting is so far, none of the traditional Hollywood news outlets have reported on any of this. They've been circling the Paramount story with the Olsen family trying to purchase Warner Brothers. They've been reporting on Netflix trying to get their name in the game. But from what I understand, the deal is almost done. And David Zaslav did mention that by December, they will announce who is going to be the owner. So right now, everything is tracking on point on the timeline, and we will see who the owner is that's going to emerge. So you know who the source was and where the information was coming from. Producer Patrick.
So again, we'll make it clear that is this gentleman's report that he heard the actual offer. I heard an offer would be made months ago. Now he's actually reporting the offer that we thought was going to happen, right? You know, sometimes, I figure, you just put facts out there and people will kind of connect the dots, but now I see I got to kind of show, pull the dots together for people as far as what's happening right here. This is real momentum here. Now, ultimately, do I feel Saudi Arabia will buy Warner Brothers Discovery outright? I think they will have a stake. If Comcast or Paramount gets this company, I think the Saudis are going to be highly invested. Like I said, I just threw the figure out there, 51% to 49%. It won't be like quite 50-50, but they will have a strong investment in the company. So this is real. And people should do their research. And like I said, I talked about it here long enough. So everything's lining into place what we've been hearing. Now, again, I tried to address the whole thing where it was a foreign owner and how that will work in the language of the contract. So I wouldn't be too worried if you're worried about another, someone outside America owning Warner Brothers. I wouldn't worry too hard. It would be proper language in the contract to avoid, anything unnecessary. I do see something else, and this is social media, so there's going to be some idiots out there trying to fearmonger, saying, "Oh, they're Muslims and they're this and that." It's not even about that, man. We're talking about the business of this, and yes, part of this too is, hey, we kind of saw the writing on the wall with Zack Snyder and Turkey Al-Sheikh. Let me just be straight up with this, right? We know Turkey Al-Sheikh is a huge fan of Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder likes this post, and it's very interesting. It's interesting to see what's going to happen. Just ultimately, let me just kind of cut to the chase here, right? If the Saudis end up with any kind of stake in Warner Brothers, any kind of stake in ownership, I believe they will restore the SnyderVerse. I do believe that. Now, what does that mean? That could just mean that Zack just finished the story. Also, too, I believe any new owners of Warner Brothers, they're going to keep whatever's working with DC. So that's why I try to lay it out for people. What's in the books for James Gunn's DCU is that, hey, Superman worked. It was ground level, but it worked for their books. They're going to give you more, than Supergirl. 2026 is going to be a very interesting year. Man of Tomorrow, Matt Reeves' Batman. So I don't see any of that changing. One thing I will throw out there, it does sound like more and more with James Gunn's DCU is more of a, I don't know if we'll see the Justice League like at all in the DCU. I mean, we'll see, right? So right now it's a Superman saga. They want to introduce Batman in some kind of way. They want to do some team ups and things like that. But will we get a Justice League film? I don't know. So keep this in mind here. So if you're doing your Superman, you're doing your DCU Batman, you're doing your team ups, but you don't have a Justice League, that will leave it for this Elseworld story of Zack Snyder to finish his Justice League story, to fight Darkseid. Like Gunn came out there recently and said, we're not doing Darkseid. Okay, just let Zack finish his story. And I just believe the Saudis, particularly Turkey al-Sheikh, he will make sure we'll get Justice League 2, or is it 2 and 3 together or whatever. I do believe, I'm just gonna put it out there. I do believe that the Saudis will restore the SnyderVerse. But also what I do believe as a DC fan overall, any DC fans out there, this isn't about taking away something, because that's another thing people are misunderstanding. If Zack can do an Elseworld story, they're just like Matt Reeves doing Batman Part 2. Is that going to stop James Gunn doing DCU Batman? Apparently it's not. So then on top of that, if James Gunn's not even doing a Justice League film, just let Zack finish the story. Very simple for me. But people get so threatened by this, and with Zack liking these posts, that's really making people nervous. And then the more and more, we talk about this, it's feeling like something may really happen with this. And we're going to, as I said months ago, we're going to keep our eyes open for this. Now our ears are open. We're hearing stuff now. It's not that I was from the future, just I was just told this months ago. So all this is falling into line. And it's very exciting. It's a big story. It's Warner Brothers right now. So as we said in the previous article, preliminary deals or offers are going to likely be made public in a few days. It's going to be non-binding offers. That's the first round of offers for Warner Brothers. I think it's going to come out from other outlets that Saudi Arabia is either really trying to buy this outright or they're partnering with someone. After Thanksgiving, or probably another week or two after that, then the beginning of December, we're going to hear the real offers, the binding offers. If you don't hear about the Saudis this week coming up, you're definitely going to hear about them before Christmas. And Azaz is going to, make it very clear who they're selling to, if they're splitting stuff off. Is it going to be a partnership of people buying? But in the language of that contract, no matter who buys Warner Brothers, Zaslav will be written in as a co-chairman going forward, until he officially retires. And then we'll see who's actually going to own Warner Brothers before Christmas. That's our Christmas present, everyone, is Warner Brothers for sale. We shall see. Now, a lot's been made about when Zack Snyder likes something on social media. It's been causing a stir. Anytime he does anything social media, he even posted some more pictures we'll talk about. But I want to just focus on this here about Superman. Now, again, in Warner Brothers books, their financial books, they put Superman down as a profit amongst several Warner Brothers films this year. Right? Warner Brothers distributed Superman, just like they distributed F1. They got profits off of like 8 films in a row or something like that. So they feel Warner Brothers currently, Zaz, if he feels that DC and Warner Brothers is in a good place. He feels they're rebuilding DC. It's ground level. You only go up from there. But at the same time, two things could be true. And this is what I was trying to help people, because they want to turn this into a fanboy war. Okay, both sides kind of won in this, but Superman, James Gunn Superman made a profit. Man of Steel, Zack Snyder's Man of Steel made more money. That's the fact of all this, right? So no matter how you, now the problem is, you got some people, not all Snyder fans, but you got some Snyder fans that wants to just say, oh, James Gunn flopped, DOA, it underperformed, whatever. They put it down as a profit, okay? You can, whatever, rock on with that. They made a profit, Man of Steel made more. And that's pretty much it, y'all. Like, it really, now, you want to get to tickets sold, yeah, like I said, Man of Steel made more money. Now, that's not affecting the current DCU, what James Gunn is doing, what Zaslav is deciding, and things like that. That's not determining anything. It's just, this is more of a bragging rights situation, right? So both things can be true. It is a fact. Warner Brothers put into their financial books that James Gunn Superman made a profit, largely due to marketing tie-ins, advertising tie-ins, and is also true in 2013, Man of Steel just did better. And we kind of could just move. I would love to just move on from this topic, but it's just gesturing. And maybe this is the last time I'm going to just touch on it. Maybe I just should not touch on these comparisons anymore, because it's kind of played out. Now, Zack Snyder liked this post, so that's what upset a lot of people overall with that. But it doesn't even matter anymore, just to be quite honest. James Gunn DCU, they're doing their Superman saga. That's continuing. And I still believe Zack Snyder will do DC again. I believe he's going to get a chance to finish his story overall. And I'm just kind of done. I'm kind of done with this comparison because, both sides have their own points. And that's okay. What's not okay is what Zack Snyder is doing to our hearts, continuing to post SnyderVerse related pictures on Instagram. Zack Snyder posted this Aston Martin. This is Bruce Wayne's car from BVS. This is the car, that was used. Zack Snyder continues to post these things, knowing what this does to us. Then you got the song, the song up there, Men Are Still Good. I've been saying this for a couple years now, that Zack Snyder is going to do DC again. I didn't know how it's going to come about. People thought it'd be a third-party thing or something. Maybe James Gunn will bring him in and do an Elseworld. At this point, all I believe is that Zack Snyder will do DC again. And we will just see what that means going forward. He continues to post these pictures. On Veterans Day, he posted Henry Cavill on Instagram. Then you have the original Aquaman, Jason Momoa picture. Zack Snyder has not moved on from DC, no matter how many times Antis wants to tell us that he's moved on. He has not. And we're still going to keep up that awareness when there's actual, news to report. And this is what I want to kind of tell people, longtime viewers of my channel, Snyder fans, is never about giving false hope. That's why I don't just jump on whatever wave is out there. If it's real news about Zack Snyder, we'll definitely touch on it. If it's fake news, I wouldn't really rock with it too much. Like, you got sites like this, Cosmic Book News. This is probably the last time I'm going to say their name, unless I'm making fun of them on the platform. I will not pull up any of their articles. They don't even believe the SnyderVerse is coming back, but they know they can get some clicks from Snyder fans. So all I'm saying is just, I don't take any Comic Book News article seriously. They have their own political agendas as well. And they, show that the Snyder fandom can be easily grifted so you can share their articles when they don't even believe what they're putting in their own articles. So that's all I got to say about sites like that. I mean, I'll continue to pull up examples, but like I said, they're not getting any clicks from me as far as from their articles going forward. I think that was the same site that said, Paramount will fire James Gunn if they take over. And then David Ellison made sure it got out there that they won't fire any Warner Brothers execs. They just want to merge. And that's what's going to happen in any deal. So, yeah, I'm not here to give you false hope. But what Zack Snyder is doing, this is how it's always been with the Snyder fandom. It's about Zack, first off. It's about supporting Zack Snyder and his work. But also, too, Zack is the one that sets the trend. He sets the tone. When it's time to ramp up activity, it's when Zack Snyder is very active. If Zack is not active, then we're chilling. We're still going to commemorate what he's doing. But when it's time to move, it feels like it's time to move. I'm recording this on November 17th. This is the Justice League date, which I'm still conflicted with this being the Justice League date. And, why are we commemorating it? I voiced my concerns on previous episodes, but I do understand the significance. This November 17th, 2019, that's when Gal Gadot tweeted, released a Snyder Cut. Ben Affleck tweeted it. Momoa was very active. So the significance is there, right? For this day, it seems like it's only right to stay active and to definitely push the message forward on November 17th. Now, with that has come, I guess, there's been some kind of debate online, and not even to put too much energy into that, but as far as people saying which hashtag should we use overall, I just feel, at this point, just my take on all that is, this all started with obviously release the Snyder Cut. Once that was released, the call went out to restore the SnyderVerse. And I think that covers all bases. Hashtag restore the SnyderVerse, because where will Warner Brothers, where will DC end up at? Can it end up with Netflix? Then sell to Netflix. That will sound like a thing. If it ends up with Paramount or just straight up Universal or the Saudis, it's about restoring. And again, restoring the SnyderVerse, right now, what that means, even with the new ownership coming in over DC and Warner Brothers, is finishing the story. That's what I mean when I say it. I don't believe they're going to clean slate. I think James Gunn, he's at an interesting window of time where he can just, get out a few more projects and see what they do. Matt Reeves, and then you assess from there. That's where we're at. I don't see any course corrections, until some of these other films. We're a few years away from that. But as far as, what restore means is just, Zack finishing his story. And right now with Zack, with these posts and these likes that he's putting out there, he's showing you he gives no care what people think of his posts and him liking stuff. So that's where I'm at overall, with the trending and with my approach with restore. Like I said, I believe he's going to do DC again. And I believe, we always going to keep up that awareness. We're always going to show our appreciation for his work, share clips and talk about it, all the time, and support his new film, The Last Photograph. He's rep filming on that. I think it's going to be an epic visually, storytelling type of film. And like I said, but when Zack is really active like this, I think we all know, as far as Snyder fans, we know that's when we should be active as well too. So that's just where I stand with that overall. We'll see how this Warner Brothers sale shapes up.
Let me give you more reasons to follow the homie Sil for the latest news, scoops, and moves he's about to reveal. From coffee talks to special brews, I'm out of burgers for meals. A cup of bourbon with that tea that's about to get spilled. Like, what's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, still, we need to know the ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in. We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go, take out your pen and paper, sit down and take notes. Still is the realest among imposter, scavenging cutthroats. So, what's the latest word, yo, still, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, still, we need to know the ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in. We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. One hell of a show, let's go. Between DC and Marvel, they both have a startle. Disney's moving finicky, let's not mention Star Wars. All these movie execs be drunk off that power, disconnected from the fans in the ivory towers. What's the latest word, yo, still, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, still, we need to know the ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in. We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. When they keep making the same mistake, that's what you call insanity. They can't even acknowledge their self-inflicted calamity. What's the latest word, yo, still, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, still, we need to know the ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in. We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. One hell of a show, let's go. Scoop Senator, coffee talks, also covering analytics, making his own reviews, cause it's always been the critics. They clout chasers, money driven, repeating the latest gimmick. Come over to Still Nation where true vision is given. Listen, what's the latest word, yo, still, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, still, we need to know the ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in. We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. Let's not forget Mikey's son, always special to the crew from day one when him and Sil got together for special brew. What's the latest word, yo, still, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, still, we need to know the ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in. We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. One hell of a show, let's go. I guess I'll finish on this note. When the niggas go flip mode, they turn gremlins, I'm gizmo. Come from my people, my kinfolk. For them I ride for and kill for. With this pistol I'm skillful. Shit can really escalate till it all goes abysmal. What's the latest word, yo, still, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, still, we need to know the ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in. We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. I'm a watchman, forever vigilant, steady watching and listening, disciplined, militant, killing these dudes that started visiting. What's the latest word, yo, still, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, still, we need to know the ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in. We need to know your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. One hell of a show, let's go.